Welcome to the People's Podcast, an employer's resource by Group Management Services. I'm your host, Alyse Kimble.
This podcast does not constitute legal or financial advice. Its accuracy, completeness, or adequacy is not guaranteed. Use the information at your own risk. Consult an attorney or financial advisor before taking any action.
Hello and welcome back to the People's Podcast here at GMS. My name is Alyse Kimble. I'm the Training Development Manager, and I am joined today by Amy Byers, the COO of Slicker Trucking.
Yep, thanks for having me. Yeah,
that's awesome. We are going to be talking a little bit about client experience. We're going to be talking a little bit about the trucking industry. We're going to be talking a little bit about Slicker in particular today. So thank you guys all for joining us. It's going to be a great episode. So Amy, tell me a little bit about Slicker Trucking. When did you guys start? What is your mission, vision, core values? What do you do in the Northeast Ohio area?
So Slicker Trucking is an independent service provider for FedEx Ground, FedEx Express Corporation. And we started in 2008. My husband was one truck, one guy, and just an independent contractor for FedEx back there, and the rules were different. You could be just one. Now we are over 220 employees. We are in various divisions. We do line haul, which is kind of semi-truck trucking, custom critical, which is over the road, high value and important government medical deliveries. We also have our own shops. So we have a diesel shop, a gas shop for our maintenance crew. We do consulting, and we are just, kind of growing in this trucking industry. But, the journey has been, almost 20 years now. Wow. And Dave and I, have stepped back into the management role. We have 12 managers, senior managers that help us manage every day so that we can kind of step back and look to see kind of what's next.
That's awesome. Sounds like it's been explosive growth since 2008.
2008.
So wonderful. And you've been with the organization for how long?
It was 2018. I've always kind of helped in the background with the, paperwork and things like that. Always like the wife duty, I guess,
for sure.
As Dave was running the trucking company. But my background was in marketing, statistics, analytics, and compliance. So when FedEx kind of started leaning into requiring more compliance and check boxes and kind of going from that mom and pop, one guy, one truck trucking company to a corporation. They wanted to do business with people that had all these things in place.
Right.
So we kind of really had that explosive growth with line haul, and it was just too much for him to manage independently. So we had to make, kind of that big jump and say, do I want to give up the security of a 9-to-5? Yeah. And, kind of lean into this business. So that was in 2017-18. And we were able to, kind of hit the ground and just lean in at that point.
I love that. And it's a unique thing to work with your husband, I'm sure.
Yes, live, love, work.
Yes, absolutely. But, and hopefully we don't bring work home, but sometimes I think that happens as well.
Well, for us, it is 24/7.
Yeah.
Because as soon as our small trucks are done at 6 p.m., our big trucks get on the road. So they work through the night. So it is an interesting balance. Our two older sons, we have 24-year-old twins. They're also in the business. One is in our line haul and tow truck division, and the other one is a manager in our small truck division right here in Richfield, Ohio. So we kind of live, love, work. Yeah. But yeah, it's David and I have a very good balance. He's very operational and just such a brilliant mind. And then, I get to handle all of the human aspect and bring kind of our core values into it, which is honesty, integrity, and commitment to people, which is all people, not just, our employees, but all of our vendors and the customers of our vendors, because FedEx is our ultimate customer, but their customers are our customer. So I think just being able to kind of work together and weave those values into everything that we do, from even just buying trucks to how we fix them to, how we employ people. So it's been a really beautiful marriage in and out of the home.
I love that. So what would you say, and kind of on the same vein, what is the most rewarding part of what you do on a day-to-day basis?
So I tell a story that back in the day, Dave came from a very small town,
Okay.
and like 400 people. And I think the big push back then was, I'm going to go to Ohio State and I'm going to become a millionaire. Right. And that's going to be the thing. I'm just going to.
I want that to be my
correct,
goal.
right?
For sure. Yeah.
Correct.
Sign
And
me up.
that's what I want to do. That was his whole goal, is to get out of this kind of small town and just make something of himself.
Okay.
And then along the way, it kind of switched. We are a faith-based company. So I think it just switched with kind of what God's path was for us,
Okay.
which was also just to take care of humans. So it's really rewarding when we see people thrive and people grow within our company. So whether they start as a jumper and go to be a driver and then maybe even to a semi-truck driver, or whether, they find positions in management, or if they're just content doing what they are doing for 8, 10, 12 years with us.
Yeah.
But it's just nice to be able to kind of put my head on the pillow at night and know that we are providing a career opportunity for people and that we're doing things the right way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to cheat and to get ahead, and we don't do that. We, have great partners, and we're able to do things the right way and still kind of come out on head, which is nice.
I love that. I think when you put your priorities in the right buckets, the right places, everything else just aligns.
It really does. It all just falls into place.
Absolutely. What's the biggest challenge that you feel that trucking companies really face today?
So it's huge growth, right? Like transportation is definitely booming, especially FedEx Ground, FedEx Express. Our partnerships and the sales force that FedEx brings is just exponentially growing our customer base, which the boxes are just coming and coming.
Yeah.
But I think the hardest challenge that FedEx contractors or even trucking companies have is compliance. And just where to turn from, hiring compliance, firing compliance, which is even, probably correct.
Even worse.
Correct. The bigger issue is that what do you do when that person doesn't fit, or what do you do when they are breaking the rules or they're impacting your team negatively? All the way from reporting and required compliances to the state or whatever other agencies that you have to report to. So I think those are the big challenges that trucking companies have. And I think historically, smaller trucking companies have always just kind of been mom and pop shops, right? And they just kind of do things the way that they've always done them. And I think today, in order to get that growth and to get that positioning, there's a switch that flips from I'm a small trucking company and that doesn't apply to me to, oh my gosh, all these rules apply to me.
Yeah.
And that happened very quickly for us. A lot of the growth happened during COVID, and there was very little time to kind of say, oh, wait a second, we need to, next year in January, we should probably look into medical and EPLI insurance and law and, and compliance and a handbook. And there was no time for that. So, so I think one of the great things about GMS is they're kind of always around us in that place. They kind of are always telling us, hey, like this is coming for you, or this is what you should look at now. So I don't have to, it's not an afterthought.
Right.
And I haven't already gotten myself in trouble. And then I'm like, oh, I should go back. I should reverse a little bit and put that in place.
Right.
So I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges that I think trucking companies in general, whether you're in the FedEx network or just independent, would have, kind of on their plate.
Yeah, absolutely. Growth, compliance, all those big pieces. So you've been a client since 2019, so 6 years.
Yeah.
What was happening? And I know you mentioned compliance, and that could be a big piece of it, growth as well. But what was happening within Slicker at that moment where you were like, I need to look for a partner that's going to help me grow?
Yeah. So we actually had partnered with another company at the time. And it wasn't a great partnership, but they did things a little bit differently. We had a payroll company, we had an accounting firm, we had kind of all these things, some legal support, but we were doing a lot of the unemployment. We were doing a lot of the, just firing, hiring, kind of everything was just ad hoc.
Yeah.
And there was a moment where we knew we needed to grow. And when we brought on that line haul division, it just, 24/7, and the differences in what was expected of those two divisions, it just got really overwhelming. And and we had, in the past had been courted by GMS for a long time. And it was always like, oh, we're too small, or we're too small, it doesn't fit. And at that moment, it was just, we got the call and we were like, I was back so I could take the time. After I quit my job and to come on with Dave, I could take those calls. Right. I could entertain the what's best for us kind of calls instead of like, well, I can't sit down with you because I have to run a trucking company.
Right.
So, so at that moment, we had separated from our other partner. And we just needed to align ourselves with kind of this new vision, right? This faith-based vision of doing the right thing, staying compliant, and offering a stable, scalable business that people could come work for, right? And have work in 6 months or 9 months or 12 or 10 years, right? So at that moment, it was the time that we had to kind of lean in to a GMS type product. And then, and it wasn't just a payroll company or workers' comp solution, right? It was all the other things that came along with it. And we didn't use all of them right away. We didn't, and it wasn't like a trust thing. It was just like, oh, no, I'm kind of a,
maybe it's too much all at once.
Kind of a control freak also. Like I like to know that everything's done and where it's done. But I think at that time we were maybe 17 employees.
Okay.
And it fit, so today, and we get those questions a lot, being over 200, 225 employees, like, oh, well, of course you use a big company like that because you're big. And it's not like that. We couldn't have gotten where we are today without a partner like GMS. And I say that to everybody. You'll hear me, as soon as somebody on Facebook is messaging and says like, hey, I have a problem with this, I'm like, here, you need to call them. Because it's just a scalable way to make sure that you're compliant in every stage and every step along the way. So from 17 people to 50 people to 135 people to 200 people to 225 and above. And that's just the great part of being with a company that will scale with you. So that was really key for us at that moment. But yeah, 17 people kind of going through some, organizational structure changes, going through some growth at the same time. Yeah. So it was bumpy.
Wow. I can imagine.
It was very bumpy.
I can't believe how you've grown.
Yeah.
In just 6 years.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. And it's about saying yes, to the customer. And that is, that's a huge thing. If FedEx needs something, we always rise up and are there to meet what they need. And again, I'll tell our account manager, hey, I think we're gonna step back a little bit. I think we're gonna hold here. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, she's like, I feel like you just onboarded 25 new people. And I'm like, well, FedEx asked, so we stepped up, and it is all in the plan. But to be in a position where you have a partner that's coming alongside of you. Yeah. We run our corporation with just me in the back office and one part-time person. Wow. So if you can think about all the people that a company of 250 would need, from HR to compliance to, just onboarding and hiring and all of those things, I would have to have an office of, 5, 6 full-time people. And I don't, but we get the same results. And it's really professional, compliant, edge, leading edge knowledge and breakthrough, type information. Like, those are the professionals that we have. I don't have to send my HR person to an industry class to get up to speed. Yeah. Because I have industry professionals kind of in my pocket. Yeah. So it's kind of nice.
We always say it's the HR support you would get from a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah, absolutely
which, is our amazing account managers who just are constantly learning and growing and collaborating with each other. So
the cool thing about that too is I've had the same support at 17 people as I do now. Yeah. So it's not like, oh, well, of course you're at a different tier level, or I have many more products today than I did when we started. We use recruiting. We have our Epley insurance through GMS, or TPA for our 401k program.
Right.
We didn't have 401k back then. If we consider, we run the numbers on medical insurance every year, whether or not we choose to do that or not.
Yep.
But it's always nice to have that option.
Right.
Our workers' comp team is constantly helping us from a proactive standpoint. So there's like the safety and the prep standpoint, like, hey, it's summer and people are getting hot. And don't you know that when people are hot and dehydrated, their ankles twist more often? And you're like, oh, I actually didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
So there's like a lot of preventative stuff that you get along the way as well. So there's all these different services that you can get, and it's either as much or as little as you need. But we started off with payroll and workers' comp, and now we're, very much, kind of settled in and full HR department, and
including the unemployment, which I know you were getting from your other
so
partner.
they do the unemployment. So, we just send it right over to them, and they ask us, and not only from a, like, oh, we're going to handle this for you, but they do guide us on what we should be doing, right? So if you discipline someone, this is what it should look like. If you, need to terminate or separate, this is what it should look like. If someone goes on FMLA or has an injury or a personal medical leave from, pregnancy and delivery to, paternity or maternity or to just surgery, I don't have the background to know to do that. And to have somebody in the office for the couple times a year that happens, it's an expensive overhead. So for me, being able to streamline that with a group of people that can manage those services, does that make sense? Group management services, right? Yeah. So it is just nice. It's nice to have kind of an expert in all of those divisions. And what I really love about it is if my account manager or someone doesn't have the answer, there is a team of people, legal, compliance, whatever that looks like, that has the official answer to guide me in the most compliant way. Which for FedEx, being an ISP for FedEx is huge because they're constantly asking, auditing, and double checking our compliances. So for me, if I come under audit from FedEx, like, hey, are you doing the right thing? Within 30 minutes, I have all the answers. I'm like, yep, here it is. This is what we do. And oh, well, that was fast. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, look through it. Yeah. And I can confidently say that. It's, when you get audited, you say the word audit and people are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get audited. Like, it's just such a heavy word. And I'm like, no, I'm good. Yeah. Like, I am confident that everything that I'm doing at work is above board.
The peace of mind.
It's such a peace of mind. And when you have a lot of moving pieces and you're trying to grow, you have to have that peace of mind. Yeah. You can't say, oh my gosh, what if I hire another 50 people? Like, I have to know every night when I go to bed that there's 225 people and their families that are protected by the decisions I make.
Right.
Could it be cheaper? Sure. But paying for a service that you can guarantee peace of mind and compliance and protection is just key. Yeah. It's just absolutely key.
I think that's wonderful that you said those pieces as well, because business owners, I feel, they hang on to all this stuff that doesn't make them money. Right. And you're like, why are you doing that? Like, you could be focusing on the revenue generating things and having peace of mind, knowing that if an audit comes around, you literally can go to one person and say, hey, I need X, Y, and Z. You get it in 30 minutes. Yeah. And then you move on with your life.
Yeah. It's all about bandwidth at this level. At a management level, AO level, which is authorized officer, that's kind of your top level at FedEx. Yeah. You need the bandwidth to grow and to make business decisions. You should not be bogged down with, an unemployment hearing or, writing someone up or, or your local managers, which RBCs sometimes are the best drivers, right? They're not trained in HR. They're not trained in people management. They're not trained in HR compliance. Mm-hmm. So I have to give them the tools to walk them through the write-ups, what to say, what not to say. Right. Especially that. And I think that's also the great part of having someone that can kind of come alongside of you. Because we get one-offs. I mean, there's somewhere, sometimes I go to my account manager and I'm like, hey, she's like, like, well, that's a new one for me. Hang on a second. I
feel like that makes the job fun though.
It's definitely challenging and interesting, maybe fun. But it's definitely nice to have a partner that you can lean on. And my team team feels supported, and they have access. If they have questions, they'll access me, they'll access GMS directly and say like, hey, this is going on, can you help me? And they know, like, don't say anything, especially if it's like a disciplinary
Right.
or, if people are calling off, you don't know how to handle it, or if it's like a medical issue, we need to, if somebody got injured at work, there's a whole process, reporting process, everything. And they've made it so streamlined that the employee has that protection from the second they get hurt, or, from, whatever resources. So it's good to have the protection, but also the benefits, right? So, whatever our ancillary benefits look like, our benefit offering, knowing that they're going to get paid on time, direct deposit. The onboarding is huge. We do all that electronically.
Game changer, right?
Dude, game changer. I mean,
So
like,
much paper
here's the
before.
thing, like, you're literally having a packet of paperwork, chasing them down for forms, making sure they sign off on things. And I send them a link and they're like, they can't go to the next page without agreeing. I mean, it's just, so you're not missing a step. So it's really nice. And then to know, from E-Verify was a big process that's automated. So there's just so many things that are built into the back end that even I at this point take for granted.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even do that. So I have other contractors asking me, kind of how to do this. And I'm like, you need a partner. You need a partner, because I take all of these things for granted now. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even remember what it was like to E-Verify someone.
They're like, Amy's so great at this. And you're like, I have help.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
for sure.
I'm not great at it myself. I've made some really good decisions and partnered with some really great people.
But that makes you so smart, right? Let's talk about your employees a little bit. What are they loving from a product service offering when it comes to what you've been able to partner and provide through GMS?
So the portal is great.
Okay.
The new GMS portal is very easy for them to use. They can get their pay stubs. We pay on Monday, but our pay stubs hit on Thursday, so they're super excited that they know what they're making 4 or 5 days ahead. But they do. The pay stubs push. So they have very clean, access to that. It's right on the dashboard. They can change their direct deposits. They can change everything, which is a huge, burden off of my plate that they don't have to refill out forms, and I don't have to do that for them.
Right.
So it's very user friendly. And there's just, there's a lot of little things built in. They can see, their PTO. They can see there's benefits, the discounts and group savings and things like that. They can see right there. There's some, pay advance type programs built into the portal that they can grab. So, but ease of use, I think, just having, it right there that they can kind of check whenever they need to.
Yeah, that's awesome. So kind of like self-service.
Yep.
I love that. Any advice that you'd like to share with maybe other trucking companies out there who are maybe listening to the podcast when it comes to managing people, compliance, even like just choosing the right partner?
Yeah. So choosing your partners is key. Choosing the wrong partner is definitely, and we've been there.
Yeah.
We've gone through that road where we've been with a accounting firm that didn't have our best interest. They had their best interest first. And this partnership with GMS has completely opened me up to see kind of the time that was wasted. So, I think the big thing is compliance, leaning into a vendor that has compliance, that can answer the questions you need, that can scale from where you are now to where you want to be, and to have those conversations. Are they asking you those questions about where you want to be and how they can help you get there? I think that's, instead of just being like, okay, well, you're here now, so now these are the rules that apply, but really partnering with someone that is like, listen, if you want to be at 300 employees, let's get you there, but let's put this infrastructure in place. Let's put this handbook in place. Let's protect you now, so that when you get to 300 employees, or when I was 17, I could get to 50 and I could get to 130. Yeah. And it wasn't like well, now we have to redraw the whole, back to square one in the drawing board.
It slows you down.
It does slow you down.
Yeah.
So, but I think just in trucking and in, even just economic and government and all the things that are coming at us, I think just having a partner that is compliant and has all these professionals and are experts, like, let them be the experts, rely on them. I'm not an expert. I'm an expert in what I do. I'm not an expert in what they do. Yeah. So I think those are the important things, to have a partner like GMS so that you can have all these different facets and the experts in each of those.
I love that. If we were recording this podcast, Amy, in 5 years, what would you be celebrating?
My retirement. No, honestly, I think I would be, in 5 years, it would be close to 25 years doing this. And I think I would be celebrating, hopefully, my children's success in being our successors, right? Taking over the business. But I would hope that in 5 years, I could look back and know that today I was making the right decisions and that my employees that are still with us are better and their families are stronger because of that.
That's wonderful. Well, it's such a pleasure having you on, Amy.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Any further advice that you'd like to share with small businesses out there? Anything, parting words of wisdom that you might have?
I think just lean into the tough times, lean into the compliance. The harder you fight any rules, regulations, things that you're fighting, or any things that you might be cheating or thinking that there's an easier way out, lean in. Obviously, always try to find the best and most effective way to do things, but lean into those harder times. Find partners that can help you through those tougher times, through the compliance, through some of those less fun things, and just partner so that you can free up that kind of white space on your plate, and that you can get that bandwidth back so that you can start being an owner operator or a business owner or a manager again.
Yeah, that's wonderful advice. Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Amy Byers, CEO of Slicker Trucking. If you are listening to our podcast, we appreciate you. Please join us for our next one, and thank you so much. Thank you for tuning into the People's Podcast. We hope you found today's discussion helpful. Stay tuned for more insights in our next episode. For more expert guidance and resources on small business management, PEOs, and more, give our podcast a follow. Find us on social media or visit us at groupmanagement.com. That's groupmgmt.com. We're dedicated to helping small businesses everywhere make their operations simpler, safer, and stronger.